Olá, tudo bom, gente? I'm glad to be here with you guys. E aí, tudo certo com vocês? So I hope you are doing great. Espero que todos estejam ótimos, que essa esteja sendo uma ótima semana para todos. E eu gostaria de saber como vocês estão. So how are you guys doing? Tell us, use the comment section to tell how you are, because as we meet here every week, we start to know each other a little bit, so it's awesome to know a bit from you. And by the way, tell us where you are right now, okay? So you can use the chat to comment, and I'll be able to see everything you write, guys. By the way, for those who are here for the first time, eu sou Ludmila, meu nome é Ludmila, and I'm one of the teachers of the Yes Portuguese School. So, meu nome é Ludmila e eu sou uma das professoras do curso da escola Yes Portuguese. Tudo bom, Damares? Olá, Victory! Hey, Jacob, tudo bom? So, Jacob saying he's in Toronto, or as we say in Portuguese, Toronto. So Victory is saying, feeling good, ready to speak Portuguese. Vamos lá, vamos falar português. Hey, Safe, tudo jóia? Dave, tudo bom? Dave is saying, I'm well and happy in Brazil. Que bom que você finalmente está aqui, né, Dave? We are glad that you are finally here. You waited so long, right? Tudo bom, gente? Oi, Marinos. Oi, Steven. Que bom ver vocês aqui. I'm really glad, guys. With this new tool we are using, we can be streaming this class live at the same time on Facebook and on YouTube. So this is great because we know that some of you prefer to use Facebook, some prefer YouTube. So we can actually provide this for everyone. So I'm glad. Olá, Gus, tudo bom? Oi, Mutas, obrigada. So, Marinos is saying, estou em Português em Brighton. Tudo bom, Marinos? Oi, Frank, tá joia? So, by the way, guys, here in Brazil now it's 4 hours and 4 minutes. So almost 4 o'clock. It's good for you to tune in Brazilian time to know better when to come to the class. But whenever we tell you we're going to have a class, we try to put the time zones from most of you. So we always try to put New York City time, San Francisco time, UK time. And we know, for example, that some parts in the world are not so good for this time we are making the live class, but this class stays available here so you can watch it later. So if you're watching the recorded class, bem-vindo, welcome. Bom, gente, this week, I'm going to say it in Portuguese first, and then we say it in English, okay? So, like this, we can practice our oral comprehension. Então, essa semana aqui no Brasil, fez frio. Claro que a gente tem ouvido muitas piadas, porque aqui fica um pouco frio, o brasileiro já reclama, não gosta, é comum. A gente tem jeito, né? A gente está acostumado com a temperatura mais alta, né? Acima de 20 graus. Então, quando começa a baixar muito, além de 18 graus Celsius, 15, 12, é difícil. Então, por conta disso, como foi um tema recorrente aqui no Brasil, no noticiário na última semana, eu pensei de hoje nós trabalharmos as estruturas relativas a falar do clima, falar do tema, do tempo, tá? So in English now, this past week, here in Brazil, we had this cool weather coming, so lots of regions and cities had a very low temperature, some even under 0 degrees Celsius, which is a lot for us. And I'm joking here because we are getting lots of jokes about people from colder countries, because we complain a lot about this cold weather, which is not that cold. So we get lots of this kind of joke. But I was explaining that actually here in Brazil, we are not used to this kind of cold weather. So we are more used to something above the 20 degrees Celsius. So when it gets too low, even though it's not too low for many of you, we complain a lot. Okay. So this was a big thing on the news here these past days, because everyone was talking about it, because we even had some snow in some parts of the country. So this is a big deal for us. And because of that, I thought it would be interesting to talk about expressions, verbs to describe weather. And we're going to use this specific class to make some important differences between some verbs, which are very tricky, especially for English native speakers. Okay, so we'll do some differentiation between, for example, verb estar and ser. I know it can be tricky. Also between some verb tenses. So that's our point, to use weather to talk about verbs. Okay. So, so let me see what you guys are saying. So Victor is saying, the cooler weather is coming to New York. Oh, now I believe it's really a cooler weather. So Dave is saying, it felt amazing. I'm glad to know it, David. So Jacob is saying, aqui faz 29 e nublado, tá nublado. So em Toronto, né, tá nublado e 29 graus. Tá bem quente, né? It's kind of hot. Não posso aproveitar, pois estou em quarentena. Oh, sorry, but is it your whole city which is in quarantine, or just you? I feel sorry for you. But let's start, guys. Are you ready? Estão prontos? Vamos começar? Remember, this is a class. It's a laid-back class, but it's a class. So try to be in a quiet place where you can really focus and get the most from this class, from everything we are going to discuss here. Also, of course, feel free to ask anything during the class. I'll try to check the chat all the time, so I can see if you have any questions, okay, during the process. And I think that's it, right? Vamos lá? Sejam todos bem-vindos, então, e vamos começar. So let me see what I can do here. I'm glad that today the sound worked, because last time was really hard. Right? Deixa eu ver. I think that's it. So, can you guys see my screen right now? Let me see your comments, if you guys are able to see my screen and everything. So, by the way, while I get to see your comments, these are the hashtags we can use when we are sharing things related to our class. So you can use this one, aula do yes, yes class, okay? Or this one I love, Portuholics, okay? And yet, for the yappers who are here, and by yappers we mean our students from our private school, you can use Yapper Squad. It's been a while since you since the last time you used this hashtag, so I would love to see it again. Okay, so this is the topic we are working with today. So let's see. I can see your comments here. So you can see my screen. So perfect, guys. We can go ahead. So let's start with this first important differentiation. And I said in the beginning that this would be helpful, especially for English native speakers, and of course for other speakers, because, for example, French has also this same thing, which is different from Portuguese, which is this. You have only one verb for these two verbs in Portuguese. So in English, we use the verb to be for ser and for estar. So that's why we get very confused thoughts from our students very often, because they sometimes struggle trying to use these verbs correctly, okay? That's why I'm using today this topic to explain you how to differentiate these verbs when it comes to not only weather kind of subject, but other subjects too, because the rule we are going to see here applies pretty much for other situations, okay? Bom, então vamos lá. So how or when we are going to use ser, okay? So ser, which is one of the translations for to be. When you want to describe the weather of a place, like in general, like usually, how is the weather like in this place? Usually, okay? So, of course, each place has its variations, it changes, but in general, some places can be described, right? Some places are like more dry, some are more wet, hotter, colder, so that's it. So if you want to describe how is the weather like usually in a place, you're going to use ser, okay? Because verb ser is more connected to general ideas, okay? And also with more permanent situations, okay? So this is a good understanding to use this verb. So let's check some examples. First one, o Brasil é país tropical. So, o Brasil é país tropical. So here we are saying Brazil is a tropical country. Of course, for example, we have some parts in the south which are not tropical. They are actually under the tropical line. But in general, most of it is tropical, so we can say it. O Brasil é país tropical, okay? Another example. O Amazonas é estado muito úmido. O Amazonas é estado muito úmido. Here, an interesting thing, notice that here I wrote Amazonas and not Amazonia. Amazonia, let me write here for you guys to see the difference. Amazonia, it's the name of the forest, the rainforest, okay? So Amazonas is the name of the state. It's a state in Brazil, in the north part of the country, where a large part of the Amazon forest is located, okay? So a little difference. And it's important because the state will be called in the masculine form, o Amazonas, but the forest will be feminine, a Amazônia, okay? So let me put it between brackets. So the Amazonas is a very humid state, okay? So I'm describing this permanent condition of this state, which is true, by the way. This is a very humid place. My mother was in Manaus, which is Amazonas capital, and she told me that every day at the same time it used to rain. So imagine that every day at the same time it rains because it's too humid and too hot. And last one. O Nordeste é uma região seca. O Nordeste é uma região seca. So the Northeast, okay, is a dry region in Brazil. And again, of course, we have some exceptions, some cities in the littoral part, in the coast. But in general, it's a dry region in Brazil. So as we are talking about a description which is kind of permanent, something that is a true fact about these places, we are going to use the verb ser. Got it? So that's it. But let's see now how to use the verb estar. And I would like to see if you have any questions here. I guess you don't. So everything is working fine. Let me see if you have other comments. Dave is saying, very humid. Been there many times. Very much, right, Dave? I've never been there, but I can imagine. Because I once was in Salvador and I thought it was very humid, very different from my region. And I can imagine Manaus, which is a totally different place and much more up in the north. So, okay, so let's come back to see how to use verb estar, okay? Let's go. So, here's what we had to know to use the verb estar. So, para descrever o clima de lugar no momento, you're going to use estar. So, when we want to describe some places' weather in that moment, okay? So, it's something specific in time. It's not something that will last forever. It's not a characteristic, a property of this place. It's just how it is in this moment, okay? So when you want to say this, you are going to use verb estar. And guys, again, you can use this notion to use this verb in other contexts too, because estar is more connected to transitory situations that will not last forever, or when you want to emphasize that you are living or feeling or seeing this in that moment, okay? So, important notion about this verb. Let's see the first sentence. Está nevando no Brasil. Está nevando no Brasil. And it's good to remember that we can say just tá. Remember? We've said that before, and it's very, very common to Brazilians to just forget this first syllable and just pronounce the second one. So, tá nevando no Brasil, which means it's snowing in Brazil. And it did last weekend. But notice that here we have the verb estar. So, more connected to a situation which is happening in this moment. It doesn't have to be exactly now, but like it's been happening for a while, but it's not something that will last, okay? And notice that the verb that comes after it has to be in this interesting form, which we'll call gerúndio. Let me put it here for you guys to see. Gerúndio, okay? So it's this form in Portuguese where the verbs end in NDO, okay? And this is correspondent to the form in English where the verbs end with ing. So snowing, raining, okay? It's equivalent. So notice that the verb that comes after the verb estar is in this form, okay? We'll talk more about it soon. Segunda frase. A minha cidade está fria essa semana. A minha cidade está fria essa semana. My city is cold this week. My city is cold this week. Okay? So, here we can see that we are describing something that's happening this week. Okay? So, it's not something that describes this city generally. It's not a characteristic of this city. It's just this week, so I'm using the verb estar. Minha cidade está fria essa semana. Okay? It's cold this week. Okay? And terceira, third sentence. São Paulo está passando por uma seca. São Paulo está passando por uma seca. Okay? So, can you understand this sentence? This one is a bit different. This means São Paulo is experiencing or having this experience. So it's experience a drought, you know, a dry season, okay? So, and by the way, this happens a lot in São Paulo, unfortunately, and they have lots of trouble with that because they have huge population and they need water. So, but again, we are saying that this has been happening for a while, okay? So it's not something permanent. It's something that has been happening. So we use está passando. So can you see? Sometimes it's something that's happening right now, or the last week, or like for the last weeks, okay? So, but it gives the notion that is not something permanent or not something that normally was connected to this place's property, okay? So let me check again if you have any questions. Oi, Prince, tudo bom? Prince is saying, oi, professor, I'm new here. Welcome, bem-vindo. Sinta-se em casa. Feel free to ask anything you want, okay? Hey, Charles, tudo bom? Charles is saying, o Amazonas é tipo Flórida. Yeah, probably. I don't know neither of these cities, but I believe Amazonas is worse in terms of humidity. Davey can tell us. Maybe he can tell us later. Oh, Charles is saying, Orlando está com trovoadas agora. Wow. So, take care, okay? Cuide-se. By the way, I've heard that huge, I forgot the name in English, furacão, tornado, can we say like this? Hit the state of Louisiana in the US yesterday. I hope you guys are all fine, hopefully. So, Victory, you asking dry, probably about the word seca, okay? So, seca is a word that we can use to refer to a dry season, okay? Hurricane, yes, thank you, Christian. Totally forgot, yeah, a hurricane. So Dave is confirming Amazonas is worse than Miami, than Florida. Okay, thank you guys for hurricane. You helped me a lot. So let's check another difference. I prepared another difference related to verbs for us to check right now. So let's see. So here, these two verbs are also very much used when it comes to weather talking. We use it a lot to say that in a place it's cold or it's hot. So it will differ also when it comes to usually descriptions and descriptions related to the moment. Okay, so faz ou está fazendo. By the way, these two relates to the verb fazer. Okay, everybody knows it, right? Fazer, it's the verb to do or to make. Okay, we can translate as both. So, vamos lá. Vocês vão usar o verbo faz, essa forma, faz, para descrever o clima de um lugar de modo geral. So, you're going to use the form faz when you want to describe how's the weather like in a place, usually, okay? So, how it usually is. So, we just use the verb in the present form, okay? So, primeira frase. Faz muito calor no Rio. Faz muito calor no Rio. So the translation would be, it's really hot in Rio, or it's very hot in Rio, okay? So we are saying that this is a characteristic of this city, okay? It's usually like this, okay? And I can confirm, once I was there, and it was not even summer, and guys, I even felt a little bad, because it was too hot, too humid. I was sweating a lot, and I normally don't. And then I just said, I said to my husband, I had to stop a little bit, drink some water, just be in a fresh place, and then I could cool down a little bit, because it was crazy. And it was not summer, because summer, I know it's hard, really hard. So, but it's also, I really recommend you guys come to Rio from April to August, because it's the dry season in the southeast region. So we don't have rain very rarely, and it's hot, but not that hot, so perfect time. Segunda frase, no sul do Brasil faz frio. No sul do Brasil faz frio? So the question is it cold in the south of Brazil? So we are asking if in this region of Brazil, in the south, it's usually cold, okay? So we use this verb to talk about permanent characteristics, okay? So notice that the verb is in the present tense, and this is also a nice tip. The present is very much used to make descriptions about things. So we use it to talk about true facts, okay? About things or people's characteristics, okay? So very much connected to that. Present tense with permanent characteristics, true facts, okay? So let's see now the other option, está fazendo. Just let me check if I have questions. So Safe is asking, can you use seca in food? Yes, we have, for example, carne seca. So I'm writing here in the comment, and you guys will be able to see in the comment section. Carne seca. Can you guys see? I think it's available only on YouTube. No, I think it's for both of you. So carne seca is the dry meat. You dry the meat. There's a process to do it, so you can use for food. Carne seca, dry meat. By the way, you guys have eaten that before. It's kind of common here in Brazil. People like it a lot. So, Amilcar, you did a perfect sentence. Está fazendo muito calor no Rio. So it means it's very hot in this moment in Rio. Very good. And Safe has another question. A minha camisa é seca agora? Remember, as you are asking something about this moment, you're going to use the verb estar. So, a minha camisa, let me write for you. A minha camisa está seca agora? So imagine you washed your t-shirt, you need it, I don't know, for work or for some kind of event, and then you want to check if it's already dry. So you can ask this. A minha camisa tá seca agora? Okay? So, good example. So, Safe is asking, está frio em julho normalmente? In this case, as we are talking about something that happens usually, we'll use ser, okay? Então, you can say, é frio em julho normalmente, or you can use the verb fazer in the present, as I just showed you. Faz frio em julho normalmente? Okay, so you can use ser, which is more connected to something that happens usually, and also fazer in the present tense, faz. Okay, so you can use both. So Jacob's asking, so would it be correct to say faz 29 graus, or is that wrong because it's something that changes? Normally, the present, when talking about weather in the moment, will have present only in the news. You know, when you guys watch some news on TV, or if you read a newspaper, an online or physical one, they will use present to describe things in the moment, happening in that moment, and that will end. But they use present because they want to emphasize it. But this is very journalistic kind of speech. Okay, people don't normally use present to talk about things happening in this moment, things that we know that will change. Okay, so if you see, for example, faz 29 graus em Brasília agora. So this is very much a news language, you know, like to emphasize it. But people, if I call, I don't know, I'm in Brasília and I call a friend and he asks me about the weather, I'll say, tá fazendo 29 graus. I won't say, faz 29 graus. You know, so when we really speak to each other in this regular and natural context, we are going to use the other option. Tá fazendo 29 graus, okay? So, got it? So, in news language, you're going to see a lot of present, talking about things happening in the moment, but with the intention of emphasis, okay? Let me see, what else? Marinos is asking, can we use faz to describe things? Por exemplo, essa camisa faz muito legal. No. We have to use the verb ser. Essa camisa é muito legal, okay? So faz wouldn't suit this situation. So Jacob, my question is about using the verb fazer rather than estar for the weather. So actually, the common thing is to use both, because we say está fazendo. So notice, I'll write here in the comment section so you guys can see it. Está fazendo 29 graus. So we normally use both. Like the verb estar is like an auxiliary verb, and the verb fazer is the most important one. So está fazendo. Okay? Let me see. So, Safe, meu plano é voltar no Rio próximo ano, em julho, para o meu aniversário. Hey, how great! I'm glad to know. I hope to meet you again. It's a very good plan, Safe, I would say. Julio I think, is one of the best months to travel in this part of the country. Because of that, we don't have rains. Normally, we have nice weather, because remember you came here in February and there was some rainy days, right? So you probably won't find it in July. That's great. So let's come back to, there's another question here. Then let me see. Victor is asking, is there a proper way to say to a fluent speaker of Portuguese to slow down or speak more basic? Sure. You can say, for example, você pode falar mais devagar, por favor? Você pode falar mais devagar, por favor? It means, can you slow down a little bit? So you can say that, and Brazilians will be very happy to speak in Portuguese with you. We normally are very pleased to see foreigners trying to speak Portuguese, so we are very helpful. In general, not be a problem. So let's see the last option, guys. I would like to share with, actually we have two things to see. So we saw that faz in the present, more connected to usual situations. And let's see the other one, está fazendo. So notice that we have estar, that we had talked about, which is connected to things really, happening in the moment. And we have a verb following estar in that form we had mentioned. So I'm focusing on this because actually this is a very common pattern to talk about things happening in the moment, or a thing that has been happening lately, okay? So we use it a lot, this structure, not only with the verb fazer, but with others too. So, se você quer descrever o clima de um lugar no momento, ou algo que está acontecendo recentemente, você vai usar está fazendo. So if you want to describe some places weather in the moment or lately, or what I mean is something that is not permanent, it's something that's happening or have been happening, so you use está fazendo. Primeira frase, gente. Está fazendo muito calor na Suécia esse ano. Está fazendo muito calor na Suécia esse ano. So notice that we can also say tá, remember? Tá fazendo muito calor na Suécia esse ano. So this sentence means it's too hot in Sweden this year. So this is an expression that let us know that we are talking about something specific, about this year, and not that's a characteristic of Sweden, not at all, right? And segunda frase. No norte do Brasil tá fazendo frio esses dias. No norte do Brasil tá fazendo frio esses dias. So, is it cold these last days in north of Brazil? So, again, we have this expression here showing us that we are talking about something about the past few days, okay? Not about a whole situation that usually happens in the north, okay? So when we talk about something happening in the moment or something that is temporary, we are going to use está fazendo, okay? And before we do some practice, we are going to do quick exercises. I just want to show you again these, these other cases, because here I want to emphasize the difference not only between ser and estar that we saw, ser more connected to permanent situations and estar more connected to temporary situations, but also here I want to show you the difference between present, more connected to permanent situations, and this other structure here formed by verb estar plus another verb in the gerúndio. Remember the form where the verb ends in ndo. So this structure more connected to things happening in the moment or lately, but which are not permanent, okay? So I brought three other verbs so you guys can see how this happens. So for example, this first sentence is with the verb ventar, okay? To blow, to wind. So we use this, we have this verb to talk about the wind, okay? So this first one in the present. Venta muito nessa cidade. Venta muito nessa cidade. So it blows a lot in the city, or more likely to be it's very windy. This city is very windy, okay? So like a permanent characteristic. Or I can say this with a different meaning. Está ventando muito aqui. Está ventando muito aqui. So it's very windy here, but I don't have to put agora, which means now, just because I use this structure, I know it's something that's happening now. Okay? So just through the difference of the verb tenses, I know that here is a permanent characteristic, here is something that's happening now. Okay? Same situation in here, guys. Now with the verb chover. Opa, to rain. Okay? So, first sentence. Chove direto em Londres. Chove direto em Londres. So it means it rains a lot or very often in Londres, in London. So this word is interesting. It's an interesting expression. Direto, guys, which literally means direct, is very much used in Brazilian Portuguese to give this notion of very often, okay? So chove direto means it rains very often in London, okay? So a general description, something that usually happens in London as a characteristic of the city. On the other hand, está chovendo muito lá. Está chovendo muito lá. So it's raining a lot there. So here we are talking about something happening now. While here we were talking about something that usually happens. And the final one, once, verb nevar, to snow. So first one, neva todo ano nesse país. So it snows every year in this country, meaning this is a characteristic of this country. On the other hand, está nevando na serra. Está nevando na serra. It's snowing in the mountains, okay? So something happening now, okay? So here we have these interesting oppositions. Ser and estar. Also presente. Presente. No, I don't need these. And está mais o verbo no gerúndio. So while in here I have a more permanent idea, in here I have an idea of something happening in the moment or lately, okay? So in the left side, you can see what we use to talk about permanent characteristics. And on the right side, we see what we use to talk about things happening lately or in the moment. Notice that the verb estar is present in these two structures. So you can memorize that. Estar, it's something connected to the moment, more connected to that. Of course, every language has many exceptions because languages, you guys know, are social phenomena. It's not something logical as maths. So we try to make a grammar to put everything inside the boxes, but it doesn't work every time. So we have exceptions, but this is the general idea, okay? You see very often, okay? So let me see if you have any questions before we just do a practice to really close the deal, okay? So let me see. Oi, Jerry, boa tarde. I love it. Charles is saying, let me put it here. Charles' comment. He said, oh, gente, lento. This is to ask someone to slow down. Oh, gente. I'm laughing because oh, gente, or more likely to be pronounced like this, oh, gente, is an an expression for from the Northeast region. So I love it when Charles is using it because it's not common actually in my region, but I like it a lot. Safe e saying, sim, foi muito molhado no carnaval. Oh, very, very humid. I can imagine. Very wet. So I believe you don't have questions so far. So let's do a practice. Let's do an exercise. Vamos lá, gente. Again, vamos lá. So, this is what we are going to do. You guys have these sentences, and I want you to put them in Portuguese, okay? So, are you ready? Let me put like this, then I can see your comments. Sorry. So, let's do the first one. It's raining in my city today. How will be this sentence in Portuguese? It's raining in my city today. Remember that sometimes we have more than one option for the sentence. Sometimes it's more like one example. Sometimes we have more than one option, okay? So, how would you guys translate this one? I'll check here the comment section, okay, to see what you guys say. So it's raining in my city today. Oh, so Charles did the first one. Está chovendo. Em Orlando, we would say em, okay? Em Orlando, hoje. Jacob also translated, está chovendo na minha cidade hoje. That's it, guys. Here we are talking about the moment, so we are going to use verb estar, okay? Está chovendo na minha cidade hoje, okay? Very good. So we need estar, especially because we are talking about something happening in this moment, today. So it's not a permanent characteristic. Let's do the second one. Is Florianópolis hot usually? How would you guys put this second sentence in Portuguese? So I would like to see. So pay attention to the verb estar, okay? In the first one, we need estar because we are talking about something happening in the moment, okay? Very good, Usman. Hoje está chovendo na minha cidade. Isso aí. Very good. What about the second one, guys? So the second one, is Florianópolis hot usually? How will be the second one in Portuguese? And I'll make space for the other ones too. Are you guys thinking? Pay attention to the expressions, okay? So, for example, in this one, I used today, which was a tip that we were talking about something in the moment. Check the second sentence. Is there any expression that could help you to understand if we are talking about a permanent characteristic or something happening in the moment? So, I got some answers. Amilca, faz calor em Florianópolis frequentemente? Ah, very good. This is one of the options. Faz, let me put in blue so you guys can notice. Faz calor em Florianópolis, a big word, right? Normalmente, geralmente. We can use normalmente with the meaning of usually. Also, geralmente is a common adverb for this situation. So, we can use the verb fazer in the present because we are talking about something that happens usually. So, it's a permanent characteristic, so we can use present, okay? Faz calor em Florianópolis, geralmente, but we have another option. Let me see if any of you guys did it. Marinos also got it. Florianópolis faz calor usualmente. Jacob also did a great option. We have another option for this one. So we can also say Florianópolis é quente? Geralmente? So notice that here we used the verb ser, also used for these general characteristics, okay? So we can use this too. Faz calor or é quente. So notice that with verb faz we use calor and the verb ser we use quente, okay? So Florianópolis é quente geralmente? Ou faz calor em Florianópolis geralmente? Okay, very good, guys. Let's see the third example, okay? So the third one is it cold there now? By the way, let me highlight the expression here that gave us a tip to know that we were talking about a permanent situation. So look for the same here in this third example. Check if there's an expression that helps you to know if you're talking about something that happens always or only in the moment, okay? So, is it cold there now? So, Victory, Jacob, you both did. Está frio lá agora? É isso aí. Está frio lá agora? So, now is the word that gives us the tip. We are talking about the moment, so we are going to use está to show this temporary situation. So, está frio lá agora? Okay, so we want to know if this is happening now, there. Amilca, Stephen, safe, very good job, guys. That's it, very good. What about these two last ones? They are pretty much the same. The only thing that changes in English is the adverb. So for is, how is the weather in Salvador generally? The fifth is, how is the weather in Salvador now? So how would you guys put these two questions in Portuguese? So I'm already telling you that the only difference is generally and now. I'm curious. So what you guys think? What could we do here? Muito bem, Charles. Como é o clima em Salvador? Usualmente, or geralmente, or normalmente. Normalmente, I think is the one we would use more often here, okay? Let me put it in blue. So, como é o clima? So, check these, guys. Como é o clima? So, for this first one, as we're talking about a general situation, we are going to use verb ser, okay? What about the second one? How the second one will be? So, Very good job, Jacob. Safe. Amilca. Oh, so about the second one, Jacob already gave the answer. Como está o clima em Salvador agora? So, here's the difference. So, in the second option, we were talking about now. So, we have to use the verb estar. So, imagine you guys the two situations. Imagine I'm planning to make a trip to Brazil. I don't know anything about it. Then I ask my trip advisor, how is the weather in Salvador? So I want to know generally. So I would ask, if I tried to do it in Portuguese, I could ask, como é o clima em Salvador normalmente? Okay, a general question. So I got my answer. I knew everything about it. I decided to go to Salvador. And when I arrive, I call some friends. I'm talking to them. And then one of them asks me, como está o clima em Salvador agora? So they want to know how is the weather like in this moment. I'm there, okay? So these are the two contexts where we can use these two verbs. So, ser, let's see it again, more connected to permanent ideas, and estar more connected to things happening in the moment or lately. The same way, presente will be more connected to permanent ideas, while estar plus a verb in gerúndio will be more connected to things happening in the moment, okay? So that's it, guys. That's all for today. We'll almost arrive into 5, so we'll have an 1 hour class, that's it. Pessoal, muito obrigada pela presença de vocês. Foi ótimo ter vocês aqui. É sensacional poder dar as aulas, contar com vocês, com as dúvidas de vocês. Isso é muito enriquecedor. Espero que vocês estejam sempre por aqui com a gente. So, thank you very much for being here. For those of you who are here for the first time, welcome. Feel free here. It's really like a classroom where we can all feel comfortable enough to ask anything we need to improve our skills in Portuguese, okay? So, thank you very much. Remember to send us some tips related to things that you guys would like to study. We would love to know and prepare new classes on these topics, okay? Thank you very much and have a great weekend. It's arriving, it's coming. So, many kisses, muitos beijos e até a próxima. Tchau, tchau.